Welcome to yet another episode of Behind the Lens. It is post-Spirit Awards and Oscar weekend. Some surprises, some wonderful, wonderful wins, some wins, and some sad losses for a lot of people. But all in all, I think everybody got a little taste of everything this past weekend. And here we are today, starting off March on Behind the Lens. I'm Debbie Elias, film critic, creator and host of Behind the Lens. You can find my movie reviews and interviews in print and online around the globe on behindthelensonline.net, many other places. But every Monday, I am right here on Adrenaline Radio, 11 a.m. Pacific, 2 p.m. Eastern Time, where we go behind the lens and below the line, talking with the movers and shakers, the directors, the producers, the screenwriters, composers, actors, costume designers, VFX guys, sound engineers and designers, and everything in between. And today we have incredible guests. Those of you that follow Behind the Lens on social media or follow me, Movie Shark D, or on Facebook, you know I have just been beyond thrilled with one of our guests today. Dick Cavett, the legendary Dick Cavett, will be joining us live at the half-hour mark of the show. He's going to talk about his new documentary, Ali and Cavett, The Tale of the Tapes. And when I say Ali, there is only one. The one who floats like a butterfly and stings like a bee, Muhammad Ali. Over the course of Dick Cavett's career and Muhammad Ali's career, the two of them became friends. I think Dick Cavett interviewed Muhammad Ali more than any other guest over the many iterations of his various talk shows over the decades. And this is a compilation. This is an incredible telling of the life and times of Muhammad Ali, as shown through the lens of these appearances in his interviews with Dick Cavett. A couple years ago, there was a wonderful documentary that Ali's daughters were produced, and we got to really understand. They opened up family archives and audio tapes of phone messages he would leave for them when they were little and he would be on the road. And we saw a different side of the man. We also see a different side of the man as he engages with somebody that it's very easy to see he considered to be a friend, Dick Cavett. So I'm very thrilled to have Dick Cavett with us at the halfway point. All you TCM fans out there will remember that Dick Cavett was at the TCM Film Festival with us last year. So that was exciting. And I'll ask him, is he going to come back this year? Of course. But before that, in just a few minutes, director Fran Strine. You remember Fran? He was on the show some time ago with guitarist Phil X talking about their documentary, Hired Guns. Well, now, joining Fran today is going to be the one and only Ray Parker Jr. Who you going to call? Well, instead of us calling them, Fran and Ray are going to be calling into us to talk about a new project they're working on. I know nothing about it, so I'm going to be as much as surprised as all of you listeners are. And there's a crowdfunding launch tomorrow, so you're going to hear about it first, right here on Behind the Lens. I'm very excited to have Fran back on, to have Ray join us, a legend. Pam is smiling in the booth. She's very excited when I emailed her earlier this week that, hey, we don't just have Dick Cavett. We have Ray Parker Jr. So that'll be coming up in a few minutes. But before Fran and Ray call in, I want to, let's just let you have experience some of the fun of what happened at the Spirit Awards this weekend. As we all know, with the Oscars, which was televised on ABC nationally, so you all got to see it. Unless you're watching on IFC for the Spirit Awards, you missed that airing live, although there are rebroadcasts of it. And there were some really incredible winners at the Spirit Awards. One of whom, Jordan Peele, Get Out, not only won Best Picture at the Spirit Awards, which many thought might have swept in, split the difference between Three Billboards and Shape of Water at the Oscars. Of course, The Shape of Water won. Yay! But he did, Get Out did pick up Best Picture at the Spirit Awards. But for Jordan's win as Best Director, I got to ask him a little bit about what winning the Spirit Award means to him. Jordan, congratulations. I've got to ask you, first-time directorial, Independent Spirit Award. What does it mean to win this award above all others?
Well, this is, I feel like this is the spirit of the award of this film, and me as a first-time director encapsulates what this award is about. So I'm very proud. This was a scrappy movie I had to make. We had 23 days. I had to put my heart and soul into it. I cried just about every night because it was so draining. And I got up every morning and I brushed that off, and I got it together, and I realized that this is the best time of my life. It was a full adventure, and I think that's what the Film Independent Spirit Awards is about.
And I know you're hearing a lot of noise in the background. The Spirit Awards are done. For those that don't know, Spirit Awards are held on the beach in Santa Monica in tents. And I was on the red carpet to begin with, doing interviews, which you'll all be able to see later this week on BehindTheLensOnline.net, as well as on Behind the Lens, Elias Entertainment on YouTube. But in the press tent, we're literally in a tent. The wind is blowing, machinery is blowing, trying to force some kind of air in, and it had poured rain all day the day before, the morning of. I'm very happy to report I have not incurred pneumonia after standing in water for 7 hours. So that was exciting. But, we've cleaned up that audio as best we can. When you watch the videos of the press tent interviews, because the camera is plugged into the mult box, you will have crystal clear audio. But I just wanted to let all the listeners get a flavor now for the immediacy of the awards moment and wrapping things up. But somebody else I got to talk to that many of you may not realize, Anison Janney, she was training to be an Olympic ice skater. That was her big goal in life until an injury that tore tendons and ligaments sidelined her ice skating career, and she went into acting. So she was the first award at Spirit Awards for Best Supporting Female. She went on to win the Oscar the following night. Here's what she had to say to me. I have to congratulate you, Allison. This third time is a charm. But now, does this make up for not fulfilling your Olympic dreams?
Totally. This is the closest I'll get to being an Olympic figure skater, and that's just fine with me.
And yes, very difficult to hear because Spirit Awards had their own technical issues happening with the microphones not being on for the room. So it's always a fun-filled event. And I'm thinking here, do we have time, Pam, for Agnes Varda before Fran calls in? What do you think? All right, well, we're going to bring up a lady who is world-renowned at the forefront of French Nouveau. She has been making films for over 50 years. Agnes Varda, she walked away with the Spirit Award for Best Documentary, which was produced by her daughter, Rosalie. So here's what they had to say. Congratulations. I'd like to know exactly how fun is it or how difficult is it working for your mother or her working for you?
C'est pour Rosalie.
Well,
C'est marrant.
I grew up in a family of cinema, so this is a little bit my world, and I'm very happy since globally 10 years to be next to Agnes and to try to produce her exhibition, her projects, and this film was really a wonderful adventure. first to call GR saying, you know, I'm the daughter of Agnes Varda, you don't know her, but I'd like you to meet my mother. And he would say, yes! So it began like this. And, you know, I think working with my mother is totally normal. We have a very good working relationship, which is, you know, we're not obliged to be always agreeing on everything, but the bases are good. And we believe in each other, and I love her very much and respect her work since so many years. I think, you know, to be next to a woman that is an artist who began to work in 1954, who went to all the technology and now is working in digital, I mean, this is, for me, a little treasure.
You know, I want to say about the relationship is that Rosalie allowed us to do a very specific way of working. I wanted to shoot only 1 week per month, because after 1 week I'm tired. And we had other things to do. He had exhibition, I had also art exhibition. So peacefully we met, discussed what we can do next month, and we did it. So the shooting lasted 15 months. And she was never, comment on dit nous gronder? She was never saying it's too much, it's too long. She played the game with us, which was so good for us.
And they are absolutely adorable mother and daughter. And I really connected with what Rosalie had to say about Agnes, and that she has gone through all the transitions. I went through all of that with my father, who started in the days of live television back in 1948 at WFIL in Philadelphia, where he remained through its incarnations until his passing. And he too went from live to kinescope to through film, through video, through 2-inch tape, to smaller VHS, betas, SMPTE time code, to microwave technology, and on to digital. So I really appreciated what Rosalie had to say and the journey that she and the respect she had for her mother. So, talk about respect. All right, here they are. Fran Strine and Ray Parker Jr., welcome.
Welcome. Thanks for having us. This is Ray.
Hi, Ray. It's Fran.
Hey, this is Fran.
Hey, Fran. Welcome back. So good to talk to you again.
Thank you for having us on.
Oh, my God. I was so excited when you emailed me the other day. Of course, I will always find room for you, Fran. But now,
Thank you.
I have been in suspense. I have been in suspense ever since you emailed me about this incredible announcement, this crowdfunding launch, and what this project is the two of you are working on. Because anybody that saw Fran's last documentary, Hired Gun, if you haven't seen it, you better get thee to a digital rental somewhere, because it's an amazing.
Very captivating. Very captivating.
Oh, you're right, Ray. It's and you're in it too, but it is an outstanding, and you get to see some of the most incredible performances from some of the greatest guitarists, drummers of the working today. Absolutely phenomenal. So I'm dying to see what you two are cooking up now. So talk to me, boys. Tell me.
All right. So basically, you know, Hired Gun, we tell a little bit of the story of Ray Parker Jr. And obviously his story is way too big for that film to fill up the 98 minutes. So my first thought was I've got to make a feature on this guy, because we became good friends after the film, because he was going around the world promoting Hired Gun with me. And there's so much stuff that he neglected to tell me during the interviews, because he had just flown in from Japan the night before. And his story is way beyond just Ghostbusters. And I'll let Ray talk a little bit about some of his early work.
Yeah, I grew up in Detroit. So I'm a guitar player, and there's all the stuff that happened to me in Detroit, which is madness and crazy in itself, stemming from Smokey Robinson to Marvin Gaye to Diana Ross and all the times we fit together. Then going on tour with the Rolling Stones and Stevie Wonder and all that kind of stuff. Then working with Tom Jones and the Carpenters and all that stuff. So it's a lot more than just me. And then there's a bunch of some heavy drama in the middle there.
There's always
drama.
drama.
TMZ-like drama.
Always
All
drama,
those stuff,
Ray. There's always drama.
There's always some drama. You just can't escape it, And it's some lighthearted drama. I mean, it's nothing that's going to make the people go crazy. But, teaching Stevie Wonder how to drive is pretty interesting.
Okay, I'm sorry. You have to repeat that one. Teaching Stevie Wonder how to drive.
What do we think? Can we repeat it? Yeah.
Oh my.
We'll have all that in the book. We'll have all that in the documentary.
That needs it, Fran. That needs its own, chapter in the documentary, I think.
Oh yeah, it'll have its own giant segment along with him. Who's the one guy that you slept in the castle with that scared you in the middle of the night?
Van Morrison. That wasn't a slept in a camper. I was in a castle in Oxford, England.
Oh my God! Yeah, Van Morrison would
yeah,
be.
there's
That's a whole nother story. But there's a million of those. It's gonna be interesting.
So
Well, I'll share something with you that's pretty interesting to me. So, how ironic is it that Ray wrote the biggest scary song ever, Ghostbusters, and he's terrified of sleeping alone in the dark. and he won't go into old hotels. I remember we booked a room in Chicago doing a Grammy screening, and he immediately looked at the front door. He's like, I can't stay here. I'm like, what do you mean? This is a $400 night hotel. He's like, it's too spooky, man. It's vintage and old. And yeah, so it's funny to me that he wrote the song Ghostbusters, yet he's terrified of ghosts in the dark and sleeping alone.
Oh.
Hey, Fran,
Yeah.
how about I won't stay in my own house by myself? It's too spooky too.
His own house.
So,
Yeah,
obviously, Ray, when you've been in Hollywood, you never stay at the Roosevelt Hotel because we all know that is haunted.
Oh, definitely not.
Yeah,
I know what that is.
we all know that that's
Definitely not.
haunted
No way.
by the ghosts of the first Oscar and many other things. So, oh my God, I love it. But I'm with you about. I don't turn lights on. I always have a light on in my house. Always. I will not.
Yeah.
I will
Me
not.
too.
I will not.
Always have a night light.
I will never have my house in pitch darkness, because I do it mainly because if I try to walk around, inevitably I will trip over something, fall on my face, and smash my head. So possibly a different reason, but that we'll go with that.
I'm
one.
a little worse than that. If I'm into complete darkness, they say I'll swallow my tongue.
Okay, now that's just. Fran, how have you planned out how you're going to turn these comedic events into this feature-length doc?
Well, look, if you spent any time with Ray Parker, man, he's a funny dude anyway, and his storytelling is just great. But it goes beyond the funny stories. As a child, he had a really, I'm not going to say a horrible upbringing, because I'm sure his parents were fire bottom up. But the neighborhood he was in during the riots of '67 in Detroit, he was harassed a lot as a child. And maybe if it wasn't for that, he wouldn't be where he is today, because that encouraged him to pick up the guitar and play, because he was just desperate to get out because of that situation. And who'd you go on tour with first at like 14? The Spinners, right?
Yeah, the first band I went on tour was the Spinners. I think I was 13 or 14.
Wow, you really wanted to get out of Detroit.
Yeah.
Wow.
I love the city, and I still love it now, but it was just the police were pretty bad, and some other things weren't so good.
Yeah, well, that's
So this is Ray's stories from those horrific events in 1967 to where he is today, which is way beyond Ghostbusters. The love of his family is really encouraging to me, because I have a son too, man, and I see how much he loves his kids and is helping them in their careers. That's really touching to me as well. But just it's going to be a great story. I'm very excited to tell it. And I'm even more excited that we're going to shoot it on actual film. This will be my first time using this medium, thanks to Kodak, and we're very, very excited, because I think it's going to just tell the story that much better and elevate it.
Oh my God, I am so thrilled to hear that, Fran, and I know that all of our filmmaker listeners, because we do have a lot of Academy members and a lot of directors that listen to the show. And it's like everybody just gets so excited when somebody talks about shooting on film. I am thrilled to hear
Yeah.
you say this. Oh my God. God bless Kodak.
Yeah, so it's really funny because we did a industry screening of Hired Gun last year, and a gentleman approached me after the movie. Goes, "Why didn't you shoot that on film?" I'm like, "Well, I can't afford to. It's extremely expensive." And he handed me his business card, which was actually a strip of film with his name on it. His name was Steve Bellamy, and he happened to be the president of Kodak. He's like, "You made a masterpiece of a movie here. You need to really tell these stories with celluloid." And I'm like, "Well, help me out." And they are. I mean, they're fantastic people. They really believe in this story and believe in my filmmaking skills. So I'm just beyond myself to do this on film.
Well, your filmmaking skills, I mean, it's just one look at Hired Gun, one look at your Dolly Parton videos. I mean, it's your filmmaking skills speak for themselves, Fran.
Well,
But
thank you. That's very nice. Thank you.
But are you going to shoot 35? You're going to shoot 16? I know 16. A lot of directors are now moving into the 16 realm because of the grain and texture.
I think 16 is going to work perfect for this, and just tell these stories the way they should be told. You know.
Oh, because
seeing the emotions through the film. Yeah, it's going to be beautiful.
And by the way, I'm trusting this guy with my life story. So who am I going to call, right?
Right.
You're going to call me and I'll get you a good lawyer?
Yeah.
You know, it's I'm not sure.
So that's how much faith I got in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
Why now, Ray? Why tell your story at this point?
You know what? It just seems like nature is taking its time. It's just the right time happening all by itself. I don't think I have anything to do with it. I'm sitting in the back seat of the car, and it's driving itself.
Well, it's taking you on a really great drive, let me tell you.
Yeah, I'm having fun.
You know, I've got to ask you.
You know, one of the coolest things that...
What?
I was just going to add real quick, one of the coolest things that happened with us, Ray and I was in L.A. for something with Ray. We went to a dinner or something, and we were on Hollywood Boulevard. He goes, "You want to see something cool?" I'm like, "Yeah, man." So we're cruising down, and he whips his car over and jumps out, and he goes, "Check this out." And he brought me to this Hollywood Walk of Fame star, which was pretty neat, man, to be in the ride with the guy. And he's cool enough to just pull over and show it to you, man. What an accomplishment, you know?
Yeah.
And that's
That
so
was so
cool. Who was driving? Not Stevie Wonder.
Me? Was.
not that day. Not that day. Maybe another day, though.
Oh, my God. So now, tomorrow is your big crowdfunding launch to get financing for this incredible project, is it not?
Yes.
Yes, it is.
So talk to me about this crowdfunding launch, because everybody needs to get in on this. Because who doesn't, if you don't know the breadth of Ray's work, everybody knows Ghostbusters. And everybody wants to learn about the man behind this. So,
well, look, you know, we're jump-starting this project on Indiegogo. The name of the movie is called Who You Gonna Call? I mean, what else would it be called, right?
Right.
And we're looking for seed money to get started. As any filmmaker knows, it takes a minute to get funding for this stuff, and we don't want to wait any longer, you know. So we're jump-starting the project and asking anybody that loves film and music and great storytelling to please go on there and check it out. There's some great perks on there, everything from signed posters to signed Blu-rays, a guitar pick, a signed guitar. You can help us fund, you know, some of the Kodak stock, help us license some of the music, which if anybody's ever done a music film or documentary, they know how expensive that can be. Name in the credits. You can come to a private screening with Ray and I, and he'll do a storytelling session after the movie. Tons of stuff on there are going to be really cool and reasonably priced.
I was going to say, where do your price points, your donation points start?
They start at $5.
Wow.
You know?
Wow.
Yeah, start $5. You know, you get a little special shout out on the official Facebook page, and you know, and they go up into thousands. So just depends on what you want, but there's something here for everybody, and somebody can walk away with something fairly inexpensive.
And
just 1 million people with $5, we're good, man.
Yeah.
A million people.
Okay.
I mean, we could make 5 movies, Ray. What are you talking about?
Don't tell them that.
No, Fran knows how to shoot economically and efficiently.
Yeah.
So he gets more bang for the
Yes,
buck.
yes.
And that's so important in today's, filmmaking world. You got to get as much
Sure
bang
is,
for your
yeah.
buck as possible. But I can guarantee you guys, I will be on there tomorrow and you will be getting money from me.
Oh, well, thank you so much.
With-
we hope you're our first donation. So
Oh, I hope I am.
Sounds
too.
like I owe her a kiss or something.
What time does the
Well,
what
there you
time does
go.
the launch does the crowdfunding launch on Indiegogo tomorrow? Is it at midnight,
well, it'll
9
probably be
a.m.?
around
or-
midnight. Yeah.
Okay.
Midnight tonight.
Well, and you know who's up at midnight at
And I'll
night.
make sure I'll send you a link so you can share it with your listeners.
Oh my God, definitely, because then also,
Yeah.
because I'm shooting the show with 2 cameras today. So when it goes into video edit, that can be on the chyron on the bottom of the video. So anyone that then watches
Oh, great.
the show after, they'll have it right
Mm-hmm.
there in front of them, so they have no excuses. And I'll get
I love it.
I'll get something up on the website for you guys too.
Thank you.
I can't believe this. How long do you think? What's going to be involved in this particular process for you, Fran? Are we going to have a lot of talking heads, or just, or ghost heads
No,
talking?
this is going to be this. There'll be a few talking heads, but this is most going to be, a run and gun with Ray. Obviously telling his life story. We'll have to do some sit-down interviews. But, Ray stays on the run, man. He's still in very high demand, and anywhere we go, he commands the room, which is still cool, man. We walked into this Kodak event the other night for the Oscar-winning directors, or Oscar-nominated directors, and he was swamped with people just wanting pictures with him and selfies and all this cool stuff. And there'll be some live jam stuff. So imagine Ray doing The Other Woman, but with Lenny Kravitz singing it.
Oh my God. Oh my.
Or, I don't know if you know this, but Ray had a hand in writing You Make Me Feel Like Dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So imagine Ray up there jamming and doing a duet with Adam Levine from Maroon 5.
Okay,
So
okay.
we want to pair him up with some really cool people.
Oh, see, that I think is one of the greatest things that's been happening over, I'd say probably the past decade, is taking renowned artists like you, Ray, and, pairing them up with the younger generation. We see Barbra Streisand doing that. Of course, Tony Bennett, with his duets. And I just think it is fantastic because it also opens up a whole new generation to what came before.
Sure does.
To the music that came before, to the films that came before, and to the people that created this and inspired these younger artists. So I'm thrilled to hear that. That's always one of my favorite things when I see, be it in music, be it in film, when you're pairing up the generations. So
let me tell you something. Don't be surprised if you see one of Ray's sons in there doing a song with him too. Because kids are insanely talented.
Yeah, both of them are really going to be. That's the end of the story. We're going to end up with the new Rays.
Oh my! You have to do a duet with your sons. That goes without saying.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
What do you think is going to be?
And here's my dream. My dream is that Ray wrote one of Shaka Khan's biggest hits. You Got the Love.
Mm-hmm.
How old are you? 18 years old, something like that.
Yeah.
But imagine having Shaka Khan come in and just belting out that song with him. I would faint.
Oh my!
I don't think I get the scene done.
Oh my God! You're giving me chills just telling me all about this. I mean, this is such an exciting.
I've been dreaming about this project now for over a year, so now that it's becoming a reality, I'm besides myself.
Yeah.
Any idea what your end goal on Indiegogo is for money?
Well, to get started, we're going to need about $50,000.
Mm-hmm.
It's going to cost more than that, obviously, to make the film, but I think that will get picked up before then. But this is just some seed money to get the ball rolling, and our goal is to get this thing done before the end of the year so we can get it all to all the festivals.
Oh.
And I think it's a doable challenge.
I think it is. I really think that's that's a good goal to have in mind for the end of the year. At least have enough that you can start submitting in the fall for consideration for Sundance. LA Film Festival is now LA Film Festival is now moved their fest to September, so you'll have plenty of time to try and get into that. I think that's a great plan. How much time are the two of you planning to devote to this? Especially you, Ray, because you're still out there performing and doing
whatever.
stuff.
It's my but it's my story. This is history. We got to dedicate whatever time is necessary.
Does that?
This passes work, and we don't need to work. We need to get the story right.
So I gotta ask.
Yeah, Ray's been incredibly.
Yeah, I'm a firm believer. If you don't tell history correct in history, then somebody else will tell the history, and that'll be different.
No, I mean it's so very quickly before I let you guys go for Dick Cavett. I mean, you couldn't have picked a better show, Fran, to ask me could you call in on. I mean,
I know, right?
But I want to ask you, Ray, what is the greatest gift that this journey has given you so far?
It's given me the happiness and my kid's hero because of the one song. But I just think for me, music. I grew up in Detroit. I would be working at Ford Motor Company or GM or something. So I'm unbelievably blessed, unbelievably thankful. I tell everybody I'm the most blessed guy in the world, and I have enough sense to know it.
Well, guys, I can't thank you enough for calling in. Crowdfunding launches tonight at midnight on Indiegogo. Who you gonna call? I mean,
there you go.
If anybody has ever thought about throwing money at a film before, this is the one. This is the one. And,
this is it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Fran. Thank you, Ray. And I hope that as you go through the process, you'll come back on the show and keep us filled in on it.
Absolutely.
Wonderful.
And thanks for all your help.
Thanks so much, guys. Bye.
Thanks, Dad. Talk to you soon.
Okay,
Bye-bye.
Fran. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, and that was Ray Parker Jr. and Fran Strine. So at midnight tonight, people, you can all be part of the new documentary, Who You Gonna Call? Just go to Indiegogo, and Fran will send me the direct link. I'll have that up on my website, behindthelensonline.net. Later tonight, once I get it from him, and I'll be tweeting it out on social media for you. So, are we ready, Pam? Oh, okay. And now, let us welcome the wonderful Mr. Dick Cavett. Welcome to Behind the Lens.
Are we connected in some way at least?
We Well, we're connected on the phone right now. So, welcome to...
Well, that's better than nothing, I'm told.
That's it. Welcome, Dick. This is such a thrill to have you on the show. Come
on.
We got to meet briefly at TCM Film Festival last year. And, to have you...
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And to have you now... I have watched you from the 60s with your early shows. I grew up watching you doing interviews with people. And
you grew up watching me?
I grew up watching you.
All in one night?
No, it took, a bunch of years, a bunch of decades. I mean, I'm 60 now, so I started a little late.
My God. You don't look a day over 59.
Oh, God. Damn. I'm going to complain to Jennifer.
Well, that's really... where did the time go between then and now?
I don't know. And as I watched this new documentary, Allie and Cavett, The Tale of the Tapes, I sat there and that's what I kept thinking, because as I'm watching these interviews and the clips that are put together to tell this story, I was just... I'm remembering... When I watched it the first time, I was actually
Oh my God! You're in a time machine now.
You totally put me in a time machine, Dick. It was like I remember sitting and watching some of them with my father, who was a big boxing fan. Of course, in our family, growing up in suburban Philly, you're a Frasier fan. You go to school with the Frasers, you're a Frasier fan.
Wow, I guess so.
But I immediately the interviews made such an impact. All of your interviews have been so impactful over the years, and your style, the casual nature that really brings out, and it gets people talking, and we get to see a great human side. And that's something I really love with this particular doc, The Tale of the Tapes, because we really get to understand a different side of Muhammad Ali.
Can I get a copy of everything you've just said?
Of course you can. Of course you can. Annie will have a link this afternoon. Because I know that who directed this? I forget who directed this now. I'm going blank here. But I'm looking at everything, and how did you go about picking the tapes to include? Because I think you interviewed him more than any other guest over the years.
Yeah, I think I probably did. I don't know the exact count. I'm told it's 10 or 11 times he was on the show, which is certainly more than anybody else was. After all, I only had Katharine Hepburn once.
Well, you got more than a lot of people got. They didn't get Katharine Hepburn, so.
By the way, that thing you said about watching it then and then seeing it now, there's another dimension to that, in that young people are seeing, really young, are seeing the show that their parents have told them they watched in college.
That's right.
And that's me. So time is bending in every direction here.
Well, and it's funny because things like this, to have a compilation like this, and not just sitting down and looking at interview after interview, but having context of story and what was happening in the world at the time. Yeah. And you take us back.
Well, Robert Bader, who made the thing, put it together and they collected it, is in charge of my tapes and so on. He was the one who noticed how many, many times I had Ali on the show and said, let's do a show about this.
What was it for you, the appeal? Was it your friendship that had you bring him back on so many times, or was it tied in with the changing times? Because he seemed to be directly tied to what was happening in the socio-political arena in the United States.
Yeah, you're absolutely right about that, and that's what makes it a piece of American history at that time. And there are younger folks and people will see this and learn for the first time who, for example, Elijah Muhammad was, or the Black Muslims, or any number of current dynamic figures at the time. And Ali was definitely tuned into. Someone's making a loud knocker sound on my front door. Shall I just stay still?
Whatever you want to do.
I think my wife's getting it.
I normally just ignore when people knock on my door. I just ignore them.
I think that's a damn good idea.
But you also.
I also have a friend who taught me that when the phone rings, if you can't think of anybody you really want to talk to at that point, let it ring.
I do the same thing. Unless I see it's my brother calling me, then it's.
Yeah, that's good.
Well,
I have the phone that Ali used the night I put him to bed in my own house out in Long Island.
I cracked up.
We've been working on a documentary.
I cracked up watching it.
Say again?
I cracked up watching that segment in this documentary.
Oh, God.
where
everybody has a different version or memory of that. The way I remember it, I came back to the house, having gone to get his wife from a motel that they were glad to get out of. And as I came in, he said, "Your wife called." And I said, "What?" She was in New York. And I said, "What did you say?" And he said, "Well, she said, darling." And I said, "This ain't darling. It's your only three-time heavyweight champion in the world, and I'm lying in your bed, and I'm watching your TV."
Oh.
And she was hip enough to say, well, I thought she's not going to know what this about, although we had been to a couple of these fights. So she was able to say, "Mr. Ali, I shall definitely put a plaque on that bed."
Oh, my God. That's hilarious.
But we were such good friends that it's still mysterious to me in a way. We bonded, although we didn't have that word then, thank God. And there were times when I just felt like he was my best friend and I was his. I could manipulate his mood. I've never said this before, but they were doing this documentary out there on Long Island, and I showed up on the set just to say hello to him. And they said, "I hope you can do something. We're not getting anything out of him." And I said, "What do you mean?" He said, "Well, he's so depressed, and he goes and stands on the cliff and looks out over the sea, and he won't talk to people that come up and talk to him. And we don't know what we're going to do." So I saw Ali, and I went over and I talked to him. He went, "Dick!" And he lit up, and he was funny and friendly and a good worker, as they said, from that point on all day. But I don't know what effect I had on him.
Wow.
I used to keep wanting to say, "Who do you think I am?"
Obviously, you were someone he trusted very much. And I think that's evident just by his candor and the number of times that he came on your various shows.
Yeah, and he knew he was never going to get in trouble with me and with him there. We like an old comedy act in a way. We knew what we were doing and anticipated each other and had the best time.
Well, and that really comes across.
And
that comes across in the documentary. Robert did a beautiful job of putting this together giving us a chronological sense, so we actually see your friendship and camaraderie developing.
Yeah, it's a story. It really is. And it has chapters, and it's wonderful for me to see those things again. I had not re-seen any of these things until this, and really forgotten how much fun and how much time I got from him, including, of course, one of the favorites was when he was sitting there with a wired broken jaw from Manila, was it? Which fight?
I think it was the Thrill in Manila.
Sort of, did Frazier break his jaw?
I think it might have been Frazier. I think it might have been Frazier that did.
Yeah, I think so. I should know my own documentary, but it was very sad, and he was, I think, being very down, and I could see people in this looking over and thinking, "Gee, you're having a hard time tonight with him. He's really bringing the show down." And he said, "Dick, you're the only one that would put me on. You're the only one. I'm just a old broke-down fighter with a wired jaw, and you're the only one that would put me on. You're my main man." And I didn't know the power in the phrase "main man."
Mm-hmm.
And somebody later said, "Do you realize that compliment you got?" And every black person that I saw for weeks afterwards said, "Hey, Ali's main man."
Well, something that I love seeing with this documentary, I saw the one a couple years ago that Ali's daughters produced, and that they actually opened up the family archives with when he was on the road. When they were little, he would call them and leave them phone messages, and they saved them. They saved this whole trove. So we actually hear in that documentary, we hear him talking to his then little girls, leaving them messages.
Oh, yeah.
And it was just so incredible to see this familial
He was
relationship.
a magic person.
Oh, and then
He was really a being from another world. He was just so damn dynamic. And you know that corny thing about certain people give off a certain power when you're near them. I've never found that to be true of anybody except Ali.
Mm-hmm.
And when you were just standing there with him, you could feel it. I don't know what it is. I don't know what science would say it was. But
no, I mean, it just...
He had a lot of fun in his life.
You know, I'm curious your thoughts, Dick, because I listened to, as I'm listening to certain of the interviews during some very turbulent times, and he's talking about, the fighting, the racial divide, the political system, and we now see the exact same thing happening today. I mean, it was as if you were sitting down with Ali today and talking to him. And that I find to be extremely striking. I mean, we all know the saying, history repeats itself. But to repeat itself with such accuracy, it's almost frightening when you listen to that.
I love hearing that. Yeah.
I mean,
There's never been anything quite like him. By the way, if I told you you can have $1 for everybody who can tell you who today's heavyweight champion of the world is, you wouldn't end up with much. I'm sorry if he's listening, but I don't know. Do you know who is?
No, I don't. I don't.
That's funny. And when Ali was alive, some writers, or I think maybe, composed a page of pictures of people's faces. And they were John F. Kennedy and Mrs. Kennedy and Mickey Mouse and Liz Taylor and Richard Burton and 15 instantly recognized people. The only one that everybody in the world could point to and say his name was Ali.
Wow.
The man who had done it in Africa. He said, Bantu tribes with a bone to his nose, they used to say, looked at the pictures and was completely, didn't know what they were. But then he saw Ali.
Wow. More famous than Mickey Mouse. I don't know. That kind of breaks my heart. But I can understand, I've got to ask you, Dick, as his health declined in later years and he lost his gift of speech, how was that for you personally, being a friend, knowing him over the decades?
There was a big Norman Mailer literary banquet in New York, and at one point they pulled open a curtain, and there on a little stage was Ali in a kind of throne-like chair and in dark glasses. But he couldn't speak, and that was so rough. I sat next to him backstage and thought maybe I could. It's Dick Cavett, Ali. Dick Cavett. I felt silly saying my name over and over. And he stirred a little, if that doesn't sound too corny, as if he rang a bell, but he couldn't move. He could walk, although his head didn't move. It was see this wreckage of this great, great, great athlete.
Yeah, and I don't think that the world really understood the ravages of Parkinson's on him after the Atlanta Olympics. I think that was a shocking moment for the world. And
Sure.
you include that in
Absolutely.
the documentary. I think that was really the last time that the world as a whole really saw him.
Mm.
And while the hand was shaking, the hand holding the torch was as solid and as firm and held as high as it ever was.
I was on a British Virgin Island at that time, and the local people, who were all black except for a few, said we cried tonight when we saw that.
Mm-hmm. I think the whole world cried collectively that night when they saw that.
You sort of had to, yeah.
You know, because he was a force of nature. He truly was.
Yep.
You know, how difficult
if anybody ever was.
If anybody ever was. You know, how long did it take you and Robert to put this documentary together?
I could not tell you because Robert did all of the technical work,
mm-hmm.
and he would show me a version, and then he would decide to take it back and redo it, and that happened 2 or 3 times, and finally got it to its current wonderful state. That work is beyond me. I can only look at tape. I can't do anything with it.
And you know, did you work? You worked on the through line, the story itself together, did you not? Developing that.
Yeah.
The timeline, yeah.
And oh God, there's someone at the door again. Did they get that? I'm sorry, I'm back. Where were we?
That's okay. Creating the timeline of where you chose to start telling Ali's story, and then moving through, you know, to the end. And I think you have to tell Robert, I think that the final screenshot, the slide of Ali, is just absolutely priceless. The way he ends the documentary, it's beautiful.
Yeah. He gets all the credit for all of that kind of work in the show. I'm just no good at it, and I can't make decisions, and I don't know. And he's such a veteran of putting together television, and film, and what else is there? Television and film, I guess.
And now whatever we're finding on the internet with, you know, little video shorts or whatever. But, you know, now this documentary is premiering at South by Southwest, next week, I think?
Yes. I think I'm supposed to be there on Thursday or maybe Friday.
Mm-hmm.
Or, I don't have the exact time for you.
No, but
I'm sure it's available.
Oh, yeah. All anybody has to do is go to the South by Southwest SXSW, and they can get the whole screening schedule, because I know the film I think you're going to have more than one screening there.
They are, yes. And if I were a professional, I'd be able to tell you.
Oh, but that's not your job either. Your job was to do
all. Oh, that's right. Thank you.
Your job was to do all these interviews in the 60s and 70s and 80s, and that was your job. Now you pass it off to somebody else, and it's their job to take all of that great material and make it into things.
I think I love you.
After having made this Ali and Cavett, The Tale of the Tapes, are there any other guests that you had over the years that you might like to do a similar documentary on?
A similar one. Part of that would require, but I got so much of Katharine Hepburn, but it sort of is the documentary. She wasn't going to do the show at all, and then she came in to see the studio, but still wasn't sure she wanted to sit in that studio. And I remember she was pushing things. Oh, there's a thing on YouTube. Katharine Hepburn rearranges the furniture as she moved the set about. Said that rugged telephone has to go. And what was the other thing? At one point there was a kind of fence around part of the stage. I don't know what it was for, decorating. And she said, "We don't need that." And a stagehand said, "Well, we'd have to, unscrew each one of them. Don't tell me what's wrong. Just fix it."
Oh, I think you need to do a Katharine Hepburn one.
Maybe.
I think you'd have every classic film fan in the world watching it. You should know that from TCM. I mean, the TCM fans are rabid fans.
That is the truth. I went to a TCM festival one time, and I could see that for sure.
Will you be back? Will you be back to the TCM festival this year in April?
As I recall, there's some reason I won't be, and I don't know for sure. Probably not.
Everybody will be heartbroken. You know that, don't you?
I know, but you have to break a few hearts along the way to make it.
But you know
what's the thing? I remember my snappy philosophy professor once. Some kid said, you have to break a few eggs to make an omelet, Mr. Weiss. Mm-hmm. Mr. Weiss said, yes, but eggshells aren't valuable.
So what else does Dick Cavett have going on right now? You've got this documentary that's about to come out to premiere at South by.
Yeah, do you think I should do a podcast?
I think you should.
Yeah.
I think you have such a wealth of information, such a history, so many great stories to tell. I think you definitely should.
I'm always being approached to do a podcast, and I've had great fun on other people's podcasts, like Alec Baldwin. We had a great time.
How do you
People
not
keep telling me they just discovered it.
How do you not have a good time with Alec Baldwin?
It's impossible. Yeah. You're right.
No.
And Gilbert Gottfried and I laughed ourselves silly on his podcast.
I think you should have one of your own. Make it at your
leisure. Say again?
I think you should do your own podcast.
Well, I suppose I should.
You can pull archives, you can talk, tell stories, you can bring in, new talent.
Yeah.
Try and educate them on, the past and prior talent. I think you'd be fabulous with your own. I think you'd be fabulous.
Sometimes they want you to have a younger person on with you to appeal to the younger audience.
Is that why Tony Bennett teamed up with Lady Gaga?
Yeah, that's exactly that.
I don't think you need a younger person to appeal. I think you have enough appeal of your own that people would be tuning in to your podcast.
Oh, I was going to say the funny thing about the people who watched the show then and are now watching it now on Decades, which on 5 nights a week, the old Cavett shows, and so their kids are telling me now I'm getting to see the person my parents were so crazy about, and it makes you feel 104.
Oh no, it doesn't.
But now I have new young fans.
See, young fans would gravitate and go to a podcast. I think you should do it.
All right.
Well, and
I'm going to blame you if I don't like it.
You can blame me, and I will come on. I will come on the podcast with you anytime you need someone to help bail you out. I promise.
Oh, that's a good deal.
Unfortunately, my radio show. We're all out of time today, Dick. This has been just an absolute thrill. This is one of the greatest thrills I have ever had. Is having you on my show.
That's not a recorded message.
It's not a recorded message. That is from my heart, Dick. Thank you so much for joining me on Behind the Lens today. And
Well, yeah, Debbie. And by the way, you're not bad yourself.
well, thank you. Coming from you, that is probably one of the greatest compliments I will ever have. That means a lot.
I'll double it in that case.
That means a lot, Dick. And I hope that you'll come on the show again sometime.
I wouldn't say no.
Well, good. But in the meantime, have fun at South by Southwest with Ollie and Cavett, the Tale of the Tapes, later this week.
Yep.
Thank you, Dick.
Maybe I'll see you.
Well, I won't be at South by. Unless something turns up and I happen to fly down there. One never knows. One never knows. I could, but I promise you.
But I feel stupid for not being able to tell your listeners when that day is.
Oh, I should have looked up the specific date myself, but I didn't. But
I think it's I don't know.
Well, I know they have media.
Friday,
I think so, because they have media holding the reviews, I think, till the 13th or something. So my guess is that your premiere is going to be this weekend, and then reviews can
Well, I'm
break.
coming down there on Thursday. Now, whether it's that day or the next day will be for the clever to determine.
That's right. All right. Well, you have fun at South by.
Okay, Debbie, thank you.
Thank you, Dick, so much. Bye-bye.
Bye.
And that was the legend himself, Dick Cavett. Ooh, we even got a Katharine Hepburn story. This was great. All right, well, that is all the time we have. We're actually a couple minutes over, and Pam was lovely enough to not cut off Dick Cavett. So until next week, I'm Debbie Elias. This is Behind the Lens.